Welcome back to Trailblazers of the Caribbean. This evening we are chatting with Mr. Harry Sukhnarayan. I think one of the major questions on the lips of people in this country is, how did Harry Sukhnarayan, despite his physical challenges, lead successfully an organization, and not one but several? How did you do it?
Well, on several occasions I've told people, told my staff, and told a lot of other people, if I can do it, you can do it too. And if you accept your adversities, you can call it problems if you want, I call it a challenge. And a challenge, and those things that appear to you as a problem, as a difficulty, as an adversity, I look at it as an opportunity with a challenge. And in everyone's life, you have your own challenge in your own ways. Some have an educational deficiency challenge. Some have financial challenge, so financial difficulties. Everything in life, every single person has a problem. And your walking is just one of, your inability to walk is just another one of those problems. But at least I don't have a problem with my thinking. And as I said before, you are what you think. And if you think, I do not think about my leg problem unless somebody mentions it. If I'm at my desk working, or I'm in a wheelchair, I use wheelchairs at Harrickwit, and I use wheelchairs, motorized wheelchairs at Harrickwit and motorized wheelchairs at Cariflex. That is simply to get across the difficulty, if I treat it as a difficulty, of having to deal with my legs. But once I'm in the wheelchair, I'm in the scooter, and I'm going around, I never think about my leg is not a deterrent anymore, because I subvention, or I replace the legs with the wheelchair. So not being able to walk is not, to me, not a big adversity. To a lot of people, they will say, oh, even when I drive my car, I mean, I get across driving the car because my right leg is very functional, and the problem really is the balance on the left leg. So if I try to walk, and the left leg is very spastic, so if I try to walk, and when I lift the right leg, I don't have any balance on the left leg, so I'll fall over, obviously.
But more than just overcoming the physical challenges, the business acumen, the business philosophy must be very active in your mind. You said that you were a school teacher.
Yes.
You left that. You went into the market. You pursued a higher education. You left school in Form 5, and today you are a very successful businessman. The example people remember in Trinidad and Tobago of Harry Sukhnarayan is taking over the Trinidad and Tobago Printing and Packaging Company. That was a state enterprise, not making money, and you took it over and made it into a success. That is the example people remember. And you did that, as I recall, even under these conditions.
Well, when I got into the state enterprise, it is sad to say, but my evaluation and deduction, or my conclusion of the entire state enterprise, when I read many of the files, I came to the distinct and very, very clear conclusion that that state enterprise was not concerned primarily on profitability, but rather on job security and job creation. So all I had to do was eliminate what was not contributing towards printing and printing a package, and concentrate on more efficiency, because the state enterprise, in my opinion, was not geared and strategized towards efficiency and productivity, but rather to job creation and job security.
Is it that the wrong people were in the right jobs? What was the reason?
You can put it that way, but I think to put it in a more mild form, I would say the emphasis was more on the subvention for next year rather than the profitability for next year. So it was a matter of changing the direction of the company, the vision of the company, the mission statement. The staff had to have a new vision to move forward. Just like the country right now needs a new vision. Where it is right now, it is stalemate with the politics in one direction, the crime in the other direction. We need a new vision, a new input, a new mission statement, something to move us forward.
Well, you know, it is always said that people get a government they deserve.
Well, I suppose so.
Is it that the people are not interested in a new vision?
Well, I think what I gave TTPP and gave the state enterprise was a new government, a new approach to running the place. But something isn't right, and I think it boils right back to thinking. And there are so many things that tell us our thinking is not right. I remember walking, when I was much younger, walking through the street of Toronto. At that time I used to smoke, and I opened a packet of cigarette and I pulled a little cellophane strip off the pack to get access to the cigarette, and I dropped that little strip on the ground. I saw a man, a white man, look at me, picked it up and put it in his pocket.
Did he say anything to you?
He said nothing to me, but he gave me the message.
Yes.
And that action remained. It was worse than that action was worse than telling me to pick it up. Today you drive through many of the streets. I'm pretty certain many engineers go through the streets. I'm pretty certain a lot of responsible people, qualified people go through those streets, and nobody takes it. But we go through so many potholes in Trinidad. Yesterday or last week sometime, I saw somebody writing an article on WASA digging holes in the road. He might have his point, but the fact of the matter is, these things should not be. Well, and it is the way we think in the country.
You talk to the motorist today,
yes,
and the motorist will tell you of his or her frustration because of all the repairs that are being done. So it seems as though something is happening. But I want to come back to that Canadian experience.
Yes.
We hear so much of the 2020 vision, and that's something that we must applaud. As I recall, two friends left Oxford University. One went to Singapore, the other came to Trinidad with the same mission of a total quality nation, of developed world status. Well, the mission right now is developed world status. But if we do not develop the mind, can we really experience a developed country status?
We can't. We have to develop that mind. We have to put the third stage into action, and that is implementation. We can put all the laws in place, we can pass all the exams we want, we can get all the degrees we want. I remember about 2 or 3 years ago talking to some students at the University of the West Indies. I was delivering an address to them on family businesses. And I remember telling them, when you're finished with your degree here and you got that piece of paper in your hand, that is only a passport of theory. When you get out there, you cannot put into practice what you have learned here at this university. Your education would not be worth the paper it's written on. And that is what we are suffering. We are suffering with, you go to the developed countries, you go to Toronto, you go to some of these, Canada and some of these other developed countries, and you see people taking a certain national pride in whatever they do. Are we doing that here? And even in the business, I mean, that is the problem. I have met many employees who really were not contributing to the company. And you have to, you as the leader, as the boss, as the director, as the chairman of the board, you have to know when to bite the bullet and when to really apply the pressure.
And become the most unpopular person.
Running a business is not a popularity parade. Business is not a popularity parade. Business has to do with the rules, put the systems in place and the business will operate itself. If anybody flout the system, the business goes wrong.
Family business you touched on, sad stories in Trinidad and Tobago?
Very sad story worldwide. It doesn't get to, there are I remember reading a book on family businesses which quoted the 7 sins of the family businesses. It has to do with the siblings, the in-laws, those family members that work in the organization, those family members who have shares in the business but do not work in the organization. There are so many dimensions to it.
I would like you to give us some quick examples of what you think should happen in order to correct the problems in family businesses. When we come back, Harry Suknarayan on the Trailblazers this evening. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to Trailblazers of the Caribbean. If you've now joined us, welcome. And this evening we have with us Harry Suknarayan, businessman extraordinaire, a man who is an example worthy of emulation. Family business you touched on. I am interested in what, in your opinion, should be done to protect family businesses from the same kinds of problems you've identified.
Family business is a very delicate issue. It's a very very delicate road to go down. I am very convinced, at 73 years of age, I'm very convinced that if a family business has to survive, it has to be handed over to the professionals. The professionals have to have the say, and the family members who have shares in the organization will have to abide by what the professionals say. If the professionals cannot perform, get rid of them. But that is the bottom line. But letting the family members run the business is a passport for disaster.
Too emotional. They become too emotional.
It becomes too emotional. It becomes too